Welcome, everyone. It's good evening and it's day three. Bangladesh Finance presents Next Gen Leaders Job Readiness Summit 2021 in association with Nestle, Milo, Nescafe, Maggie. So we have all partners with to support us growing this job fair. Our gift partner, Biz Solutions, knowledge partner, Rockamarie.com, and Think Ahead, ACCA. Our university partner, United University. Our radio partner, Radio Amar FM, 88.4 FM. Platinum partner, Quest Educare. Strategic partners, Citigroup, Hungry Naki, Career Count United International University, Pran Lachi, and Pranko, Basis Students Forum, Certified Flourishing Coaching from Canada, YOLO, Kelly Replica Limited. And you all know we are organizing 9 days long this time. Out of 9 days, 8 days আমরা প্রকাশ করছি, আমরা প্রচার করছি industry specific topics and areas where the experts are coming and speaking on different areas of the industry. On the day, we are organizing a job fair at United International University campus. On job fair, 40 organizations, 40 corporate, they're coming and they're going to hire 200 plus positions, and they're expecting and they're looking forward for you. And we are to have you into the job fair at 9th December at UIU campus. So what else you will get beside the job? Let me share with you. For your strategic partners, they are Citigroup, Hungry Naki, Pran Lachi, and Pran Tango, and of course, Bangladesh Finance and Nestle. All of them, they're going to give you a gift once you're coming to join with us on the 9th December. And today we have a special topic, and that is we are focusing the mindset, how you can create, mindset, how you can shift your mindset and entering into the era where we are facing all these challenges and uncertainties. How do we overcome this? To talk about this important area, I have very good friend of mine and who is very expert into this area, Mr. Abe Brown, who is Coach's Coach from Canada. He's a founder and chief executive of Flourishing Life Coaching, who's having tons of experience, more than decades of experience, certifying coaches and teaching, training thousands of professionals, thousands of coaches across in different continents. To welcome, to talk about the mindset aspect for today's youths, Mr. Abe Brown from Canada. Welcome, Abe.
Hey, thank you so much, Coach Kamrul. I'm so grateful to be with you here today. And it sounds like you've had an incredibly exciting time over the last several days. And so congratulations to you and your team on a job well done. So today, and you can see my screen, I want to talk for a couple of moments about developing your people by shifting their mindset. And, at the end of the day, the only thing that you really have, I know that sometimes we measure our life in terms of our material possessions, maybe the money in our bank account, or maybe the house that we live in, or the clothes that we're wearing. But really, the only thing that you have that will never be taken from you unless you let it is your mind and your mindset. And so that is the most powerful asset that you have. And that's what I want to focus on here today. As you can tell, I'm standing here in my kitchen. It's about 6:30 a.m. here in Canada. It's snowing where I am, so it's already snowing here, December the 3rd. I just finished my morning run, came back, showered, and ready to go for you. So I want to talk about this whole idea of developing your people by shifting your mindset. Maybe it's even developing yourself by shifting your mindset. There's an old saying, and it's an African proverb, and it goes something like this: rather than seeking to tame the wind, what you should do is turn your sail. And the idea here is that you can't tame the wind. I think if there's one thing we know is that we can't control the environment all of the time. We can't control the climate. We can't control the weather. We certainly can't control the wind. But here's what we can do. We can adjust or make our approach flexible and adaptable to the situation that we're faced with. And what that brings us is this awareness that life is filled with controllables and non-controllables. In your life and in mine, there are absolutely things that we can control. There are things that we can influence. There are things that we can manage. But then there are an entire series of things that we cannot control. The tragedy of life is when we spend all of our time trying to control the things we can't control, while we neglect controlling the things that we can. As a matter of fact, in my view, that's the definition of a wasted life, because we all were dealt different sets of cards by sort of the fates of life or the fates of the universe. And so rather than spending all kinds of time, arguing with the universe about the cards that you were or were not dealt, in my view, it makes a whole lot more sense to focus on managing the things that you can control. And COVID-19 has taught us that, hasn't it, right? In spite of the best attempts of governments all over the world and health experts and economists and everybody to try to figure out a cohesive and coherent response to this COVID-19 pandemic, the truth of the matter is that we can't control it. It is what it is. And so all we can do is think about how can we turn our sails? How can we adjust and shift our approach? Now, what this means is that we need to have a positive mental framework, because no matter what you're facing, if you face it with a positive mental framework, it will be so much more effective than facing it with a negative. And so I want to give you a couple of things about a positive mental framework. The first thing is this: you have got to, and so do I, we need to manage our mind or our mindset. When you think about it, you cannot produce a life of success and abundance if you have a mindset of discouragement and failure. In other words, I have to manage my mindset. But the second thing I need to manage is I need to manage my mood. Tell you what, our emotional state impacts our performance. And so what I did this morning, like I said, it's 6:30 a.m. Every day I get up at 3:30 a.m. Why do I do that? Because I recognize that my emotional state will impact my performance. And so I don't just want to, get out of bed, splash some cold water in my face and show up at work. No. Every single day I have a morning routine where I make sure that I'm investing in my spiritual and in my physical health, so that my mood is going to positively impact my performance rather than negatively impact my performance. The third thing that we can always manage, in my view, is we can manage our mantras. And this is the thing that you're telling yourself. It's the story that you're telling you. Tell you what, the most powerful story that exists in your life is the story that you're telling yourself about your success or failure. And I think that so many people today are telling themselves a story of failure. They're telling themselves a story of I can't. And I think they need to start telling themselves a story that they can. Give you some examples of some healthy mantras. You can see them on your screen there. I love some of these ones. These are the mantras that I use every single day. Tell you, here's a couple. Number one, I am happy. I'm healthy. I'm capable. I'll tell you, that mantra can change your life, right? Rather than walking around saying, I am depressed, I am unhealthy, I can't do this, I am incapable, or I am incapable. That's not a good mantra for you. It's not a good mantra for me. I like this next one. I'm not afraid to be wrong. How many of you know sometimes in life we are wrong? And yet that fear of failure can hold us back, and it can keep us trapped in this place where we're stuck and we're not actually moving forward. And so I want to encourage you to think a lot about your mantra. I know for myself, there was many, many years in my life where I told myself a story. And the story that I told myself was a story that I can't, that I wasn't worthy, that I didn't have the ability, that everybody else was better than me. And of course, one of the things that impacted me was the fact that I wasn't able to move forward for so many years in my life. I want to share with you a quick little sort of story, and I'll share a picture to kind of illustrate that. I went through a very difficult time in my life, and probably you can as well. And, there's a picture of myself, and that picture was probably about 13 or 14 years ago. And the reason I'm sharing it with you is at that moment, you would think by looking at the smile on my face that everything in my life was going great. And I have to tell you, at that moment in my life, I was going through a personal bankruptcy. My marriage had just fallen apart. All of my friends had left me because I had made some pretty significant mistakes. I think this is actually in hindsight, how long ago? This was 15 years ago now. And yet, you know what I decided that I was going to do? You know, at that time, as I had been given a decent job, a job in a new industry, in a big box retail industry role. And that the tie that I was wearing, that was about a $12 tie, 12 Canadian dollars, which is maybe $10 US. The shirt that I'm wearing, that I'm wearing in that picture, that was maybe a $20 shirt. So American dollars, that would be about $16. The pants that I was wearing, they were about $20 pants. And the smile, I'll tell you what, it was $1 million smile. I'm just joking about that. But you see, here's the point. In spite of the adversity of the moment, in spite of the challenges that I was facing in my own life, I decided that every single day I was going to show up a certain way, that I was going to show up in a professional way. I was going to show up in an impactful way. I was going to show up in a way that didn't allow people to see the worst of me, but I was going to allow people to see the best of me. But I was going to walk with my head held high in spite of the challenges of that moment. And I'm happy to say 15 years later, obviously there's been a complete transformation and we have stepped into an incredible place of success and abundance. But I think that the lessons that I learned in that moment were literally, I had only enough to put on a $50 outfit, literally with the shirt and the tie and the pants, that was all I had, but it was enough because what I brought to it was a mindset that allowed me to impact the people around me, to show that I was a professional, to show that I was acting in excellence, to show that I could learn what I needed to learn to get to that next level. So I want to spend a little bit of time talking about mindsets. You might say, well, Abe, what is a mindset? A mindset is the established set of attitudes held by someone. Okay, so when you think about a mindset, here's what's going on. A mindset is formed by the interaction of habitual thoughts and the images and emotions they generate. We all have mindsets. A mindset about individuals, a mindset about our work, a mindset about the world around us. From our experiences, what happens is we make distinctions and differentiations. In other words, we have thoughts. If these experiences are repeated enough, these distinctions become truths to us, and these truths form a mindset. Now, Carol Dweck, way back in 1999, how many of you remember 1999? Some of you watching this, you might not have been born at that time, Now, that was the year that my eldest son was born, my first child, Joshua. He was born in 1999. And I also remember in 1999, the panic over Y2K. And the world was going to end. I mean, I'm old enough to remember lots of apocalyptic scenarios in my life. They're always telling us the world is going to end. Right now, the world is going to end over climate change, apparently, and also COVID-19. But I'm old enough to remember when I was a child where I live, I grew up in Toronto, they were running us through nuclear drills. We were hiding under desks as 6-year-old children in the schools in case somebody dropped the nuclear bomb on us. And then after that, it was acid rain was going to kill us all. And then after that, it was global poverty. There wasn't enough food for everybody to eat on the planet. And then after that, we went from there to Y2K in 1999, where it was going to shut down all of civilization. How many of you remember that? I remember that. And of course, Y2K came and went like all of these other apocalyptic scenarios. Well, everybody was fear-mongering about Y2K in 1999. Carol Dweck, she was researching. That's what she was doing. Rather than spending her time focused on the fear, focused on the problem, focused on the issue, the pain point that everybody else was focused on, she was thinking a lot more about how can we think about solutions. And the greatest solution for your life and mine is not to try to tame the wind, but it's to seek to turn our sails. It's to seek to control what we can control. And she discovered and coined this term called a growth mindset. And she also coined the term of a fixed mindset. A person with a fixed mindset assumes that nothing can change, that their intelligence, their character, their ability are relatively stable. They can't be changed in any meaningful way. Success is basically the affirmation of your inherent intelligence. In other words, you are who you are, and that's all that you are, and you're never going to be able to change. But I'll tell you what, she also talked about a growth mindset. A person with a growth mindset believes that human qualities are malleable, that you and I can change, we can grow, we can improve with effort. In this way, You know what that means is all of these challenges that we face, from climate change to global poverty, to how do we educate our children, to how do we build equitable and equal societies, we can grow, we can learn, we can change. We don't have to tear the whole system down. We just have to continue to grow and develop and shift that mindset. But at your life level, at the level of my life, at the individual level, the problems that we face will be much better handled with a growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset. One of the other things that she talked about was that a growth mindset and a fixed mindset are not opposite sort of ends. In other words, it's not that I'm completely over here in a fixed mindset or completely over here with a growth mindset. There's areas of my life where I might have a growth mindset. Maybe I'm really comfortable at playing the piano or playing the guitar or writing books or doing certain mathematical equations. But maybe in other areas, I might have a real fixed mindset. And what she discovered was how important it is to have the level of self-awareness where you could look at yourself and you could look at your life and you could say, okay, in this area of my life, I need to shift from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, because a fixed mindset will always hinder your growth, and it will always hinder your ability to be all that you can be. So I'll tell you what, we want to talk for a couple of moments about how do you cultivate this growth mindset. You see, a growth mindset unlocks your full potential. Tell you what, it's more fluid and open to change. People with a growth mindset are less likely to define themselves, right? You know, by maybe their race, or maybe by their language, or maybe by their educational level. I'll tell you what, that picture that I showed you at that time, I didn't have the education that I have right now because I didn't have the money to be able to get an MBA, for example, at that time. Like I said, I was in the middle of a bankruptcy. But what I did have, I didn't have the letters behind my name. I didn't have the educational profile. I didn't have, quote unquote, the success, but I had a growth mindset. I knew that I could learn what I needed to learn. I knew that the areas of my life that needed to improve, and there were many, that they could improve if I put myself into a focus on it. I'll tell you what, Carol Dweck discovered that people with a growth mindset tend to believe that their intelligence and their abilities are malleable. They think of their brain like a muscle. And I'll tell you what, you can grow your muscle. The way to grow your muscle is not by watching Netflix and eating potato chips all day. I'll tell you what, the way to grow your muscle is to work it, to put some exercise into it, to get out there and do the work and put the sweat equity into it. I'll tell you what, your brain is exactly that way. If you use it more and if you challenge it, it will grow stronger. The problem is that those with a fixed mindset consider the abilities and the intelligence they have to be set traits, kind of like your eye color, or maybe you have dimples, or maybe you don't. If you're smart, it's because you're born that way. If you're talented, well, hey, lucky you. There's not much you can do about it either way. And I'll tell you what, that sort of mindset will keep you stuck, because if you believe you can't, you're right. But if you believe you can, then you're also right about that. So here's my question. What can a growth mindset actually do for you? Let's think about that. What can it actually do for you? Well, I'll tell you what, people with a growth mindset not only learn more new things, but they learn those new things faster and better. Okay. So they're learning more new things, and they're also learning faster and better. But also they tend to get better grades. They achieve more in life. They meet more of their goals, and they stay on more successful paths, right? So I want you to think about that. Maybe you're in school. You're wondering, how do I get better grades? Well, it's about a growth mindset. But maybe you're in your life or your business and you're trying to get a better job. Well, hey, it's about that growth mindset, that you're going to learn what you need to learn, develop what you need to develop so that you can excel and operate the way that you need to. And why is this? Well, because as Carol Dweck says in her book on mindset, no matter what your ability is, effort is what ignites that ability and turns it into accomplishment. Okay. So I want to share with you 8 simple things for cultivating a growth mindset. Just 8 simple things. I'm not going to take a lot of time on these. And at the end of this, I'd like to give a worksheet to you that will help you to understand this. And the worksheet has some fill in the blanks so that you can go ahead and fill it in for your own life. How do you cultivate a growth mindset? Number one is you need flexibility. If I'm going to have a growth mindset or you're going to have a growth mindset, we can't be stuck in our tradition. Now, there's good tradition and there's bad tradition. Definitely, you want to stay stuck in the good tradition. But the bad tradition is the kind of tradition that holds you back when you should be growing. Bad tradition is the kind of tradition that keeps you stuck when you should be moving forward. Here's my question to you. Ask yourself this question and answer honestly. Are you flexible? Are you open to new information? Can you move out of that comfort zone? Because I'll tell you what, the magic never happens inside your comfort zone. If you're wondering how come there's never any magic that happens in your life, it's because you're stuck in a comfort zone. So you got to get out of that comfort zone. You got to try new things. You've got to be, number one, flexible. The second thing that we need if we're going to have a growth mindset is we need to have framing. Now, framing is this sort of term in English that means, how do you see the world? How are you framing things? What is your perspective? Imagine putting on a pair of sunglasses. All of a sudden, when you put on a pair of sunglasses, how you see the world changes. That is a great example of framing. Anyone can change by becoming conscious of their mindsets as subjective beliefs, not as universal truths. So in other words, if I frame the world in a certain way, I will experience that result. But if I frame the world in a different way, I'll experience that result too. I'll tell you back to that picture that I showed you of myself many years ago with that big smile and my $50 clothing. I'll tell you what, up until that point in time in my life, I had what's called a poverty mindset. A poverty mindset is that kind of mindset that says I was born poor, I'm going to grow up poor, and all I'm going to ever experience in my life is poverty. I don't deserve good things. Other people deserve good things, but I don't deserve good things. That's a poverty mindset. That mindset had infected my life since the time I was basically a child. And what I had to realize was that I was framing the world that way. That meant that I was attracting more poverty in my life. So I started with poverty, and then I took on the mindset of poverty, and then that poverty mindset attracted more into my life. I needed to make that shift. I needed to reframe. That's the second sort of mindset or quality that will help you to develop that growth mindset. The third thing that you need to cultivate a growth mindset is you need some fear. Now, what am I talking about when I say you need some fear? Well, here's what I mean. I think that when you look at your life, fear can be either this thing that immobilizes you and that traps you and that keeps you stuck, or fear can be that thing that motivates an incredible level of growth within your life. Some people are faced with events that push them so far out of their frame of reference that they must form new mindsets. In other words, sometimes the fear in your life will cause the change to occur. I'll tell you, back to that picture in my life, when I looked at my situation, you see, at that time, at that moment in my life, I had 2 children. And I realized that if I didn't change my mindset, I was going to raise them in poverty as well. And so what I decided to do was I felt the fear, but I decided to lean in anyways. I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to succeed. I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to accomplish my goal, my vision, my dream. But I felt that fear and I leaned in anyways. I'll tell you what, that's the definition of courage. Courage, bravery, is not having fear. Courage is not having fear. Courage is feeling the fear, but leaning in anyways. And that's what I would encourage you to do. Here's the fourth thing that we need to do to cultivate that growth mindset is we need some failure. Now that might kind of shock you a little bit, but listen, having a growth mindset is not about being perfect. As a matter of fact, I think that fear of failure is often that thing that traps people. Do you know that most research tells us that the average entrepreneur, and I know many of you who follow Coach Cam Rule and his network are entrepreneurs. I know many of you watching this today, you're entrepreneurs. Well, guess what? The average entrepreneur has 5 failed business ventures or attempts at building their business before they find the one that makes them successful. In other words, failure is actually part of their learning process. Failure is not fatal, nor is it final. You know what failure is? Failure is another step in the learning journey. There's a Japanese proverb that says that failure teaches success. I'll tell you what, now failure can also make you worse, because if you don't learn from that failure, if you don't grow from that failure, if you don't evolve through that failure, then that is a mistake. And so we need to learn from failure and we need to grow through it. But don't see failure as a negative. You can see it as a positive. So that's number 4. The 5th thing that we can do to cultivate this growth mindset is get back to the fundamentals. You know, if you follow me on Facebook, and I would encourage you to do that, you can go to Abe Brown, author, speaker, coach. One of the things that we've been doing is this thing called a high performance challenge. And in the high performance challenge, it's a 75-day process. And I know Coach Camrule is a part of it as well. And we're doing for 75 days, 3 things every day. First thing is we're doing something to improve our body. Second thing is our mind. And third is our spirit. I don't tell people what to do. That's up to them, because everyone of us has a different body. Everyone has a different mindset. Everyone has a different sort of way that we practice spirituality. I respect all of that. And so I just want people to do something. It doesn't really matter to me what you do. And what's interesting is how many people are just getting back to the fundamentals. You know, high performance is not about getting all fancy and learning all kinds of new innovative techniques. Sometimes it's just about going back to basics. I think that here's the reality. A lot of the time, people who do make major failures, and I don't mean the little sort of learning failures, but total, disasters, it's because they have not yet mastered the basics. When you master the basics, when you spend time learning the fundamental skills, that will accelerate your path towards high performance. High performance people, I'll tell you what they do. They study masters from the past. So that, everybody, is number 5. Number 6, how do you cultivate a growth mindset? Well, you need feedback. You need feedback from other people. You need feedback from people around you. There are people in your life who can speak powerfully into your life and give you the feedback that you need. Without feedback from either yourself or from others, I'll tell you what happens. Without that sort of feedback, you're not going to become and do all that you can receive. Now, when you think about feedback, right? I mean, how many, feedback can sometimes be hard to hear. I can tell you this, that in my life, sometimes feedback can be really hard to hear because people have feedback that they can share and it can be hurtful. But I'll tell you what, without that kind of feedback, it's going to be difficult for you to grow. That takes us to number 7. How do you cultivate a growth mindset? Well, you've got to have some fight in you. Okay. And when I talk about fight, I'm not talking about fighting with other people or fighting with your husband or your wife. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this. Often in our training and in our growth and in our development, we reach plateaus where it feels like we've hit a ceiling. I see this with business owners when they want to go from 6 figures into 7. I see this with business owners when they want to go from 7 figures into 8, when they want to go from 8 figures into 9. Heck, when they want to go from 4 figures into 5. Tell you what, every time you hit a ceiling, you've got to fight through it. You've got to push through that. You got to fight through that plateau. You've got to fight through that thing. Number 8, fun. I'll tell you what, if you want to have a growth mindset, I'll tell you, fun is a critical part of the package. Growth is about learning, but it's also about fun. Look at some of these great luminaries who tell us about how it is we can grow. Michael Jordan said, just play, have fun, enjoy the game. Albert Einstein said, having fun is the best way to learn. One of the richest men in the world, Jeff Bezos, says, work hard, have fun, and make history. And I love what Dale Carnegie, the luminary of all of us as coaches, he said, people rarely succeed unless they have fun in what they are doing. Now, what I have done is I have just put into the chat window in Coach Camrule, your chat window. And I'm just going to see if there's a way that I can do this here. if there's a way that I can drop that attachment in here. But if not, I just gave it to you, Coach Cameron. I'm not sure the best way to share it. I sent it to you in Facebook, but it is this worksheet here. So have you got that, Coach Cameron?
Yes, we got it. You are sending it through the. I mean, where? I can see this on the screen, right? Did you share this in the chat window?
I just sent it to you in a Facebook message, the actual attachment itself. And if you wanted to put that onto your live stream, if you know, on your Facebook page, you could certainly do that so that people could have take advantage of it. Can you see it there? No? Here's what I can do. Maybe I can do this. Give me 1 second. Thanks for your patience, everybody. No, I can't see that. So this document here, what I would encourage you to do is to reach out to Coach Cameron after the fact, because this is a little worksheet, 1 page on how to cultivate that growth mindset. And each of these, you can print this document or you can just use it as a PDF. And what you can do is you can enter into those boxes. I would encourage you to review this and review these traits, and then find somebody and maybe have a conversation with them about it. Talk about the areas of your life where you're flexible and maybe areas where you're not and where you need to make that adjustment. Talk about how you're framing things. Are there parts of your life where you're being held back? Talk about the areas of fear within your life. Talk about the areas of failure. Talk about the fundamentals, and work hard to cultivate that growth mindset. So I'm not sure if you can see that now, Coach Cameron. But that's all good. So that's the end of my presentation. And what I would love to do is take any questions if you have it, or see how Coach Cameron wants to take things from here.
Right. So Abe, so before the Q&A, so we will go for a quiz, a short quiz, and also commercial break. It's altogether 1.5 minutes, and we're coming back with a lot of questions already ready for you. So shall we have a quiz on the screen for the participants? So after the quiz and short break, which is only 1.5 minutes, we're going to have all of your questions. So you can see the questions on the screen. Who invented neuro-linguistic programming, NLP?
Nice.
So what do you think? A, B, C, or D? If you think A is correct, write down A on the comment on the Facebook, B, C, or D. And if you're the winner and you're responding fast within the next 10 seconds, you have the chance to win. Right? I hope everyone watching right now going to participate. আমি সবাইকে encourage করছি to respond it as soon as possible and win the gift as well. So, and going to the short commercial, just to support and also say thank you to our sponsors. As you know, Bangladesh Finance presents Next Gen Leaders Job Summit in association with Nestle and Superstar Group and the Business Standard. Can we have the commercial? So don't go.
আচ্ছা,
এটা রাখ, তুমি রাখ।
খুব খিদে পেয়েছে, কিছু একটা করে দিবে?
দাঁড়াও, দিচ্ছি।
দেরি করো না কিন্তু।
একটু ফ্রেশ হয়ে নেই, কিছু একটা করি এখনই। ব্রকলিটা দে তো। হয়েছে? মা, দেখো তো তোমার মতো হয়েছে কিনা।
হ্যাঁ, খুশি করা সে তো 2 মিনিটের ব্যাপার। ম্যাগি খুশির রেসিপি। নেসলে, গুড ফুড, গুড লাইফ।
প্রতিটি বর্তমান এক একটি আগামী প্রতিচ্ছবি। উঁকি দিলেই দেখা যায় সম্ভাবনার সীমানা ছাড়িয়েছে কত দূর। স্বপ্ন ছোঁয়ার তীব্র ইচ্ছায় মন ছোটে নিরাপদ পথে গন্তব্যের ঠিকানায়। তাই তো বর্তমানকে সুন্দর করে নান্দনিক ডিজাইনে আমরা তৈরি করি সুরক্ষিত, নিরাপদ ও দীর্ঘস্থায়ী অ্যাক্সেসরিজ। সুপারস্টার ইলেকট্রিক্যাল অ্যাক্সেসরিজ, সম্ভাবনার আগামী।
ফিউচার রিটায়ার টেনশন। আমার নেই পেনশনের টেনশন, আছে সুখ স্বাচ্ছন্দ্যে, অবসরকালীন নিশ্চিন্ত নির্ভর জীবনের নিশ্চয়তা।
অবসরকালীন নিশ্চিন্ত, নির্ভর এবং আনন্দময় জীবনের জন্য বাংলাদেশ ফাইন্যান্স নিয়ে এলো বাংলাদেশ ফাইন্যান্স রিটায়ারমেন্ট প্ল্যান। মাত্র 10 বছরের সঞ্চয়ই নিশ্চিত হবে ইন্স্যুরেন্স সুবিধা সহ আজীবন পেনশন।
All right, welcome back after the short commercial break. This is the new normal after the pandemic, right? So that's, we are trying to innovate the new way of doing things, not the old way. Old way is gone because of pandemic. So I hope you guys are enjoying. So I'm asking the questions to all the participants. Did you learn something new? Say aye, say yes if you did, right? I learned so many new things as well. I want to see your response, and there are a lot of questions that are already for Abe. Abe, if you can see the questions on the screen.
I can't see them, but maybe you can read them to me, and then I'm happy to answer them.
Is positivity a mindset? How do I change my mindset to be happy?
Love it. What a great question. And it's a question that I can identify with because for a long time in my life, I had a negative mindset. And I'll tell you what, the very first thing that you want to think about your mind and heart. And actually, this is taught in neurolinguistic programming by the expert practitioners, is to see your mind and your heart as a garden. And, your garden, of course, is one of those things that you can put seeds into. And what happens is I will grow according to what I sow. All right. So I'm going to say that again. I will grow according to what I sow. There's no instant answer here, but if I sow positive seeds on a regular basis into my mind, over time, I will begin to grow positive thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And so your question is a wonderful question because a lot of people are looking for an instant answer when it comes to getting a positive mindset. But my feeling is that it's something that we have to work at every day. Like I said this morning, I wake up every day at 3 a.m. I don't tell everybody to do that. But if I wanted to go into my office and show you the book that I read this morning, I read some Holy Scripture today. I read another book called Quiet Leadership. What am I doing? I'm feeding myself with that positive mindset every day. Because if I don't do that, it's very easy, especially with all of the negativity that's out there, to get a negative mindset. And so I'm very empathetic. If you have a negative mindset, I don't want you to feel judged for 1 second. I've been there. I know what that's all about. But the only way to combat that is with better seed. If you wanted to, fix, your garden, well, what you have to do is you got to weed out the bad, but you've also got to plant the good. And so I can see another question there from Farzana. How can anyone cultivate a positive mindset? And I think the answer is very similar. You want to make sure that you're putting in the right mindset with the right things. So getting onto webinars like this, reading books, listening to podcasts, getting around positive, healthy people. If you're around negative, toxic people all the time, how many of you would agree? It's going to be very difficult for you to have a positive mindset. So you can't have a positive mindset if you have negative environments. All right. So you want to make sure you get yourself into a positive environment. So how can I beat a negative mindset? I love that question because, on the one hand, you want to make sure that you're putting new seed in. But on the other hand, if you already have all this negativity up here, what's the best way to deal with it? What's worked for me, and this might seem really simple, but the good news is it's cheap. Okay, I like cheap, and is journaling. Journaling has been really helpful for me. So you take out your pen and your paper, or maybe you journal on your phone or your laptop computer, your tablet, whatever you have, and you express how you feel there. You pour out your negative thoughts there. So you don't deny them or suppress them or try to scrush them down, but what you do is you express them there. So sometimes I take out my journal and I write down, I'm feeling depressed today. I'm feeling discouraged today. I'm feeling like nobody cares about me today. I feel all alone today. And just the act of expressing that gets it out of my system, but I'm expressing it in a healthy way rather than in a negative way. So I love that question there. Which type of mindset is important for students? Is growing mindset or a fixed mindset? Definitely a growth mindset is important for students. You know, when you're a student, the entire point is to continue to grow. It's this idea that you're in a developmental stage. And if you're a student with a fixed mindset, you'll find school will be very difficult because you won't be able to adapt as your professors and as your instructors are seeking to help you grow. As a teacher myself and as a coach, it can be very difficult when you're working with a student who doesn't have a growth mindset. Sometimes they have a student, a fixed mindset, and you're trying to teach them something and they're not allowing their mind to see it. And so what we need to see is a shift so that they have that growth mindset. That's a great question there from Depanita Das. If you're asked to give an example who has a positive mindset, who would be your answer? I'll tell you, Coach Cameron has a positive mindset for sure. And, you know, I'll tell you, it's difficult to grow a coaching business in any country in the world. And he's doing it right there in Bangladesh. So I think he's a good example of that. But I'll tell you another example of that would be, you know, Barack Obama. You know, the United States president for many years. I use him just because he's probably a famous example to many. You know, he had a positive mindset. You know, there's a lot of challenges that the world is facing right now. And I wish we had more leaders like him who had a positive mindset. It seems to me that a lot of the leaders who are out there right now in terms of the politics, a lot of them have a negative mindset. And no wonder they're leading so poorly because they have a negative mindset. And a positive mindset helps you lead much, much better. On the entrepreneurial front, I had talked earlier about Jeff Bezos. And, you know, Jeff Bezos, interestingly, when he started Amazon, we all know that Amazon now is huge. Jack Ma in China, very similar when he started Alibaba. And the whole e-commerce industry many years ago was nothing compared to what it is today. And yet, you know, men like, you know, guys like Jack Ma and Jeff Bezos, they saw what it could be decades later. And literally, without very much money or investors, they just started building something. That's a positive mindset. You see, a positive mindset isn't always about how you feel. You can feel, you know, a little bit of anxiety and a little bit of fear and even a little bit of discouragement, but that positive mindset is the thing that will keep you going. You know, what I've discovered is that our feelings come and go. You know, sometimes I feel really encouraged, other days I don't. But as long as my mindset is positive, I can power through it. But when my mindset isn't positive, it becomes very difficult to power through it. When my mindset isn't positive, it becomes very difficult to get through those emotions. And so I hope that those are some good examples for you right there. And I hope that that's helpful to you. I love questions about mindset, and I love questions about growth. Absolutely. I'll tell you a story about a guy that I knew who had a fixed mindset. You know, I'm not going to tell you his name, but he was a client of mine. And many years ago, you know, he had a very difficult experience with his parents. Many years ago, you know, his parents used to tell him that there was more brains in concrete than there was in him. And as a result of all of that negative sort of seeds, imagine negative seeds. So a lot of the times we think negative because people have said things to us that are very negative. And, it was a light bulb moment for him one day when he realized that all of the words that had been spoken over him about having, concrete brains and you're dumber than concrete and all of that was actually somebody else's pain reflecting in his own life. And that shift allowed him then to step into a growth mindset. And that I would encourage for you. Don't think for 1 second that the words of other people, that they actually mean anything. What matters most is the story that you're telling you about you. And so please do be that individual who can step into that fixed mindset. So I hope that helps you there, Coach Cameron.
How can I reduce my seriousness about little things? It creates pressure on me. It's coming from Sabrina Sharmin.
Yeah, I love that question. How can I reduce my seriousness? I love that. It's interesting because sometimes we can be too serious. And that's why I left in that last part about fun. I think what you want to do is you want to build a bit of fun into your daily routine. And, I know that there are some corporations who actually will build once a day a 15-minute fun break into their day. And they'll maybe, have a little bit of a group activity, or maybe everybody will have to get up from their desk and they'll walk around. But I would absolutely say that fun is a part of the learning process. And when we stop having fun, we actually hinder our ability to grow. So what I would suggest is build it into your daily routine. I mean, the first thing you got to do is discover what's fun for you. Maybe some of you like to dance. Maybe some of you like to sing karaoke. Maybe some of you like to watch, some videos. I would just encourage you to do those things, but do them in moderation so that they don't take over your life, but that you add enough fun into your life so that you get that mental break that you need. Because all of us, we have a limited capacity and we don't want to push ourselves too hard. I can't see any more questions there. I'm not sure if I'm missing any.
So the next question is, when we don't understand what is negative for us, what can we do?
Well, one of the reasons why we need to be part of safe and healthy communities of people is that sometimes I might not see what I need to see, and yet people around me can see it. So we have what's called the Flourishing Tribe. And, what that allows us to do is we take care of each other. If I see somebody, who's getting around something that's unhealthy, I'm going to let them know, hey, that's probably not good for you. And we have to be open to that kind of feedback and that kind of input within our lives. But we also need to pay attention and give that kind of feedback to others. And so I just love that question. And I appreciate it because, it takes humility. I need to be open to your feedback and you need to be open to mine. It's one of the best ways to develop a growth mindset. So I can see that other question there. What are the wrong mindsets? And is wrong mindset, can it destroy our life? Yes. So I think, let me give you a couple examples of a wrong mindset. One mindset that I know a lot of people have to deal with is a poverty mindset. And I talked about that earlier. And this is a mindset that says that I don't deserve nice things, that I am unworthy of success, and that I'm unworthy of having a good paycheck and a good job. And what happens with that mindset is then it creates a negativity that actually pushes people away from you. If you've ever been around somebody who has a negative mindset, you don't want to be around them for very long. And so that poverty mindset can actually push people away from you rather than attracting people to you. And then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Another mindset that we have to deal with that's really negative is a mindset called an unworthiness mindset. And this is a mindset that says that I am unworthy of love. I'm unworthy of affection. I'm never going to be good enough. Everyone else is better than me. I was raised in the wrong family. I was raised in the wrong city. I was raised in the wrong province. I was raised in the wrong country. And that kind of a mindset will really hurt you, because what we've discovered is that success doesn't have a lot to do with all of those things. Success has a lot to do with you doing the best that you can with what you've got. I think another mindset, and I'll just share one more, that's very harmful. And I don't see it in Asia. I see it a lot more in countries like Canada and the United States. That's where I live. I live in Canada. And of course, I've been Canadian my whole life. So I know this country pretty well. But I've been able to travel around the world. And, you know, one of the mindsets that can really hurt us is what I call a victim mindset. And a victim mindset is this mindset. And again, I don't think this mindset is very prevalent where you are in Bangladesh, but certainly I see it here. And it's this mindset that the whole world is against me. You know, that no matter what happens to me, it's just because everybody doesn't like me. The system's against me, society's against me, that person down the street, they're against me. And, you know, what ends up happening is you go through life thinking that everybody doesn't like you, that the system is against you. And so you're angry, right? And you're resentful, and you're upset about other people who you think seem to have all this stuff that you don't have. And what that kind of energy does is it actually pushes people from you, because nobody wants to be around somebody like that. And so what I've discovered is that a victim mindset is a really tragic thing to have. What I think we need much more of is a sort of a victor mindset. And that's a mindset that says, yeah, some bad things have happened to me, but I'm not the victim. I've got strength. I've got capacity. I've got resilience, and I can get through this. And that's what I would encourage you for that. And I hope that helps you. And so I'll just turn it back over to you, Coach Camarul, unless there's any more questions.
Dave, thank you very much for all this nice explanation. And I hope this was useful. And hundreds of comments, literally. I see thousands of comments in our Facebook page. I mean, already thousands of comments. So this shows that this young generation becoming more aware about the importance of mindset, and particularly the importance of having growth mindset and why it is important. Today, I believe they have got very clear that it has nothing to do with thinking or overthinking or worrying about what's not okay. Rather, what's okay for us, if we can think about there are so okay for us, so many things which is positive around me, so many things positive happening around us. We need to focus on them, and nothing is more important than that of rather than these and thinking not what's not happening for me. So thank you, Abe, and thank you everyone participating today. And today is day 3, and we are going towards tomorrow, then ultimately day 9. We're really very excited because day 9 is all about the job fair and ICT for Digital Bangladesh. And there are already 200 job vacancies available from 40 corporates. They're coming to United International University day long, right? And we're really excited. What else you will get if you come, right? You will get a lot of givers from our strategic partners like Citigroup, from Pran, from Bangladesh Finance, from Nestle, a T-shirt from Base Salute CA. So these are exciting gifts for you awaiting at 9th December at Job Fair. And of course, if you have the skill set and positive growth mindset, right, what's stopping you? Please join us 9th December and mark your calendar at United International University. Are you coming? Can I see your comments? Say if you are. All of you are going to come. Say if you're coming. So Abe, so what do you think about this? Our students, this last question from me in a minute, if you can wrap it up. What is do you see among students of Bangladesh, the questions they're asking? So what is your last closing thoughts about this?
Yeah, my comment is I just want to commend you all. I love your passion and your commitment for learning and your passion and your commitment to growth. And I feel honored to be able to speak with you and truly consider you all partners. And so just really want to extend our love and our respect and appreciation from Canada. No matter what struggle you're facing today, just plant the positive seeds in your mindset. And over time, that positive mindset will take over and you will be unstoppable.
এখন প্রতিটা দিন শুরু হয় নতুন চ্যালেঞ্জের সাথে। অনেক দূরের কেউ খুব কাছে আসে হঠাৎ প্রয়োজনে, হাত বাড়িয়ে দেয় সব দরকারে। একটু উৎসাহে পার করা যায় সব বাধা, আর সময়ে অসময়ে আনন্দের খোরাক হয় ভালোবাসা। কঠিনের সময়ে আধুনিক প্রোডাকশন ফ্যাসিলিটি, আন্তর্জাতিক মান এবং সঠিক পুষ্টিমানের নিশ্চয়তা নিয়ে আপনার পরিবারের পাশে আস্থা নিয়ে আছে নেসলে বাংলাদেশ। ভালো রাখতে আছি সাথে।
Nestle, good food, good life.
I'm sorry that I was muted. Unnoticed all this. Right, আমি আপনাদের সবাইকে আমন্ত্রণ জানাচ্ছি বাংলাদেশ ফাইন্যান্স প্রেজেন্টস নেক্সট জেন লিডার্স জব রেডিনেস সামিটের 9th ডে অ্যাট ইউনাইটেড ইন্টারন্যাশনাল ইউনিভার্সিটি। ডে লং আমাদের রিক্রুটমেন্ট চলবে এবং এর পাশাপাশি আপনাদের জন্য অপেক্ষা করছে, যারাই আসবেন প্রত্যেকেই পাবেন আমাদের স্ট্র্যাটেজিক পার্টনারদের পক্ষ থেকে ভেরিয়াস গিফট বাম্পার্স, রাইট? ফ্রম সিটি গ্রুপ থেকে পাচ্ছেন, প্রাণ থেকে পাচ্ছেন, প্রাণের লাচ্ছি, প্রাণ ট্যাঙ্গো অ্যান্ড আদার এক্সাইটিং গিফটস। আমি সব বলতে চাই না, রাইট? অফকোর্স একটা গ্যারান্টেড টি শার্ট পাবেন ইন আস the morning session as well, and there are other exciting gifts waiting from Nestle. Let me share a little bit. Day long you can have Maggi noodles as much as you want. You can have coffee day long, right? Free coffee. And also there are other gifts along with t-shirt sponsored by BIS Solutions and ACCA. There are so many gifts mone rakhte parchi na, right? There are house full of gifts in my office right now. আগামী 7 দিনে আমাদেরকে প্যাকেজিং করতে হবে for 9th December. We're getting ready. We're excited, all of you. Thank you for watching Bangladesh Finance Presents Next Gen Leaders Job Readiness Summit in association with Nestle, Superstar Group, and the Business Standard. And good night.
এই যে গেল সুপারম্যান আর ব্যাটম্যান। আরে খোলো। লুমেন, লুমেন উজ্জ্বল আলোর পরিমাপক। সঠিক লুমেন চোখের জন্য ভালো, কিন্তু কম বা বেশি লুমেন জাস্ট চোখের শত্রু। বড়রা বলে কিছু কিনলে ভালোভাবে চেক করে নিবা, আর যখন নিজেরা লাইট কিনে তখন কি কেউ লুমেনটা ভালোভাবে চেক করে? সঠিক লুমেনের আলোর জন্য সুপারস্টার লাইট। নো মাথা ব্যথা, নো চোখের যন্ত্রণা। প্রথমবারের মতো
কি রে, আজকে ভালো হয়নি? এই কিছু খাবি?
না মা।
এই রিফাত, তোর জন্য ম্যাগি বানিয়েছি। আমার কাছে তুই তো সবসময় চ্যাম্পিয়ন। খুশি করা সে তো 2 মিনিটের ব্যাপার। ম্যাগি খুশির রেসিপি।
Nestle, good food, good life.
Future, retire, pension, tension.
বাই বাই।
আমার নেই পেনশনের টেনশন, আছে সুখ স্বাচ্ছন্দ্যে অবসরকালীন নিশ্চিন্ত নির্ভর জীবনের নিশ্চয়তা।
অবসরকালীন নিশ্চিন্ত নির্ভর এবং আনন্দময় জীবনের জন্য বাংলাদেশ ফাইন্যান্স নিয়ে এলো বাংলাদেশ ফাইন্যান্স রিটায়ারমেন্ট প্ল্যান। মাত্র 10 বছরের সঞ্চয়ই নিশ্চিত হবে ইন্স্যুরেন্স সুবিধা সহ আজীবন পেনশন।